This is the Boston Celtics newsfeed on CLNS. Today is Monday, December 11th, 2017. This is Mike Walsh reporting for CLNS, the leading online provider of audiovisual coverage for the Boston Celtics. Before we get started today, a special notice: the all-new CLNS Media website has launched at clnsmedia.com. CLNSmedia.com is now the home of this podcast and also 40-plus other podcasts and videocasts in the world of sports, finance, comedy, lifestyles. We've got everything over there. We are so excited to have our show featured on the new CLNS Media website. Support our network by checking this episode out at clnsmedia.com. That's clnsmedia.com. We've got some breaking news for you guys at the top of the newsfeed today before we resume our normal posting. According to the Celtics official Twitter feed, the team will be without Kyrie Irving tonight due to a left quad contusion, apparently suffered against the Detroit Pistons last night. He did play 34 minutes. Al Horford is also questionable with a right knee contusion. He banged that one with Anthony Tolliver. You might remember he was seen limping, but he did stay in the game. As play-by-play man Sean Grandy of 98.5 The Sports Hub tweeted yesterday, the Celtics are entering a tough stretch here with 12 games in 19 days, so this might be a bit of a precautionary move on the Celtics' part. Alright guys, now back into the regularly scheduled Boston Celtics newsfeed. With the Celtics in the middle of a road back-to-back, they get a minor reprieve tonight from a generally tough stretch of upcoming games in December. After knocking off the Detroit Pistons last night, 91-81, check the newsfeed for my post-game recap for more on that one. The Celtics take on Chicago tonight. The Bulls own the league's worst record at 5-20, making the playoff rematch from last spring's first round quite a different look. The Bulls do appear to have hit on rookie Lauri Markkanen, who leads them in scoring, but are devastated by the departures of Jimmy Butler, Rajon Rondo, and Dwayne Wade. There was again the embarrassing Bobby Portis and Nikola Mirotic fight during training camp. Mirotic just rejoined the active team 2 games ago, which were both actually wins for Chicago. He led them in scoring with 19 points and I believe 20 minutes in their most recent win. Elsewhere on the injury report for the Bulls are 2 players who have yet to suit up in 2017-18. Cameron Payne remains out with foot issues, while Zach LaVine, who was the prize in that Jimmy Butler trade, is still working his way back from an ACL injury. He is expected to potentially play in the new year. On the Celtics side of things, the team will again be without Marcus Morris, as Connor Peterson reported here yesterday on the newsfeed. He is missing both games of this back-to-back with knee soreness. Gordon Hayward also remains out, despite a lot of hype right now surrounding his potential return sometime this season. A little more fallout from last night's win. It was the 7th time in just 28 games that Boston has held an opponent to under 90 points. Last year's squad accomplished that feat just 6 times all season. After the game, Detroit head coach Stan Van Gundy told reporters that he wasn't surprised by the early success rookie Jason Tatum is having. While he admits that he didn't see the 3-point shooting coming quickly, Mass Live's Jay King reports that the longtime coach said, quote, "I thought he was the best prospect in the draft. He's got all the tools, he's got a real poise to him. He's better defensively than people think, he's long, he's really, really good, and I'm sorry he's there in Boston for the next however many years." End quote. Listen up, Hoop fans, basketball season is back, and now that your favorite hardwood heroes have returned to action, it's time for you to put your fantasy knowledge to the test and win huge cash prizes every night playing one-day fantasy basketball at DraftKings.com. At DraftKings, there are so many ways to play. You can choose from public contests with huge cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against your friends. They've even got some beginner and casual contests where you can play against people of a similar skill level. And of course, the best part, you get to draft a brand new team each and every day. Take today, for example, the Celtics going up against the worst team in the league. Probably want to draft a couple Boston Celtics for tonight's games. Huge cash prizes and bragging rights await only at DraftKings. Use code CLNS at DraftKings.com to play free with your first deposit for a share of $10,000 in total prizes tonight. Don't wait. Use code CLNS at DraftKings.com now to choose your lineup. That's code CLNS only at DraftKings.com. The game inside the game. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. For the second straight week, the Celtics have dropped in ESPN's power rankings. After falling from 1 to 2 last week, the poll drops them to the number 3 spot this week, behind both Houston and Golden State. Mark Simon writes that Al Horford currently ranks second behind only Draymond Green in ESPN's Real Plus Minus. He was 14th in that category last year for everyone telling me that he was just as good a year ago. The Celtics are also 10-0 when Horford tallies 6 or more assists. The top 10 behind Boston is San Antonio, which just handed the Celtics their 5th loss over the weekend. Cleveland at number 5, which had a 13-game win streak snapped by Indiana on December 8th. Then there's 17-7 Toronto in 6th, followed by Milwaukee, Minnesota, and the surprise Pacers all the way up from number 16 to number 9, and a steady Denver squad rounding it out at 10. The Celtics visit the Chicago Bulls at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. The newsfeed has you guys covered. Go back and listen to Josue Pavone's pregame show from this morning with guest Jason Patt of SB Nation. Colin Letty is back tonight with your postgame recap. Until then, head over to DraftKings.com, put down a $5 deposit with code CLNS, and enter your Fantasy Hoops team before tonight's games. Be sure to also follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media and myself at CLNS_Walsh. And subscribe to the Celtics newsfeed both on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as the CLNS Media Network's mobile podcast app. Check out our new website, clnsmedia.com. I will talk to you guys later. This has been Newsfeed Manager Mike Walsh reporting for the Boston Celtics newsfeed.